Candlestick number 6, the hammer candlestick. You can recognize this candlestick because it has a small body. So just like the shooting star, this one also has a compressed rectangle. But the difference is that the small body with the hammer is near the top of the candle, not near the center and not near the bottom, near the top of the candle, where it has a long lower wick, which is much longer than the body, and usually it has a very short upper wick. And the key to the hammer candle is that it sits at the bottom of the valley. Now, I couldn't find another analogy, so I'm gonna depict a valley with a hammer in the middle. This makes absolutely no sense, but I hope that because it's so random and that it makes no sense, that it's gonna stick with your brain. Just imagine a valley where the price follows the shape of the valley, and right at the dip, imagine a hammer. And once again, the secret of the story is in the lower wick. We know that somewhere during the move, the sellers pushed the price down, so there was bearish sentiment. And we know this because there is a lower wick. So we know that at some point, the price was at these lower levels. But we also know that the price weren't sustained at this level. We know that the buyer stepped in, erasing almost all of the downward move. So there was bullish sentiment, and this is when the lower wick got created. So in this case, the sellers failed to sustain those lower prices, where there was a strong switch in sentiment from bearish to bullish. So the final sentiment is bullish. And again, this is the key to the story. What is the final sentiment of the story? What was the second half of the match, so to speak? A good way to visualize this switch in sentiment is by taking the candlestick, and we're gonna take a look at the lower wick. We know that for the creation of the lower wick, first the sellers had to step in because the sellers were stronger than the buyers. That's what caused the price to go down. Now, we know that the price did not hold at these lower levels. At some point, the buyers had to step in because that's what creates the lower wick. So at some point, the buyers became stronger than the sellers, pushing the price up. So in this instance, the buyers were successful in regaining a big chunk of the control. Now, if I were to ask you, what type of sign is this? Is this a sign of strength or is this a sign of weakness given that the buyers were successful? The answer is this is a sign of strength. And how strong this sign is depends on many factors. It depends on how does the candle look like that is printed afterwards. If this candle is followed by a wide spread up candlestick, then that's a confirmation that yes, the buyers are incredibly strong. And it also depends on the depth of the lower wick. The longer the lower wick, the more the buyers regain control, the stronger the sign of strength. In essence, what this means for us when it comes to what is likely to happen with the price next is that it's likely that the price is going to increase. It's going to go up. Now, I'm going to give you a little secret when it comes to the shooting star candlestick and the hammer candlestick. And the secret is as follows. Don't let the color fool you. The wick tells the truth. The wick is the footprint of the losing side. Oftentimes, people are going to think, hey, this candle is green, so the buyers are in control, so it must be a sign of strength. No. Yes, the candle might be green, but the upper wick is showing us that the buyers failed to sustain higher prices, meaning the sellers are gaining momentum. Therefore, it's not a sign of strength, guys. It's a sign of weakness, which means that in the other scenario, it's the same thing. People often think that, okay, this candlestick is red, so which means that sellers are in control, so obviously it must be a sign of weakness, right? No. Because sure, the candle might be red, but the lower wick is clearly telling us that the sellers failed to sustain the lower prices, meaning the buyers are gaining momentum, and therefore it's a sign of strength. Try to detach yourself from this bias, this emotional bias that we have towards colors. And a great hack that I learned earlier on, and I'm teaching it to you, is change the color settings on your charts. So instead of having candlesticks that are green and red, change to neutral colors such as gray and orange or blue and purple, for example. Because that way you're not gonna automatically think subconsciously that, hey, it's red, so sellers are in control. It's gonna make it easier for you to trade at the beginning.